Greetings and welcome to Teaching Tips and Thoughts. In this discussion, I am going to look at an experiment I am trying using what I call block scheduling for some of my online classes. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, in general, block scheduling is something that often the high schools used and the colleges in that they use an extended class period to increase the amount of instructional time. Now that can work out well, but you do have to be able to plan for it and have things set to be able to keep students occupied and engaged for a much longer time. And I am trying an experiment with this in the spring of 24 semester for one section of my virtual astronomy classes. I am going to look at possibly expanding this in the fall, and it really depends on the success of the class that I am trying it in. So it's something I really want to look at. It looks like it has some potential, and I wanted to explain a little bit about what I'm doing here. So what I use is, first of all, instead of blocking things into 1 week lessons, I block everything into a 2 week lesson. And I have a focus for each week. In the first week, they are looking at the readings, the video lectures, and starting on class discussions. The second week is the assignments. So the whole idea is not to rush things through, not to try to rush through and read things all the first week and then do the assignments and everything and try to get that done in just 1 week. Yes, there is twice as much work to do. You're going to have reading for twice the material that you would have had in the 1 week lesson. But you have it spread out over 2 weeks so you can focus on what you're doing in that first week. My ideas are that it's going to allow to focus on comprehension of material the first week, and hopefully in the long run improve class success by giving this extra time, by allowing extra time for it to be able to work. So well, I've been trying it for about half a semester as I record this and give my initial thoughts as to what I've done. Now I did pick my honors class because I was redeveloping an honors class to add. So I picked the honors introduction to planetary astronomy. Great because it's a small class that's focused and has a great group of students to work with. And it's working really well. However, it does require focus from the student. So if you're skipping the first week of materials, as sometimes we'll do, then you're going to end up being behind. So the way I've set it up to try to keep the students on track is that the discussions for the week, the students need to post by the end of the first week of the lesson. So they have a very short time period to do their discussions, at least their initial discussions, and post their own thoughts. The idea of that is to get them moving on the discussions instead of holding off until the second week. If everything was due at the end of the second week, I'm sure I would find that a lot of students simply waited until then and tried to do everything for 2 weeks in just those last couple of days. So this is my way of encouraging students to get started on their assignments. I'm also trying for this is an optional class meeting that we do via Zoom in the second week of the lesson. Essentially, this gives students the chance to complete the rest of their discussions in a Zoom setting instead of posting on the discussion boards. And students seem to like this. It is optional since my class is fully virtual. We don't have meeting times. We reached out to the class to find a time that would reach for most of the students that were interested in this. However, some students choose to do the discussions in a more traditional manner. They have a requirement to post and do postings on the discussion board and responses on the discussion board. Those who attend via Zoom, they're done. They post their initial thoughts on the discussion board and they're done with it. They can just go on to other assignments and they need not worry about anything else with discussions. So again, it's kind of a pilot, seeing how things work here with this. And then my early results, again, it seems to be that there's less pressure for students having more time to work on the assignments. And it also makes it good for me in that assignments are coming in every other week for grading. So I have a break week on this class where every other week I have no assignments. Now the question for that would be, do I want to try to stagger my classes a little bit? Do I want several classes, like one class to run and do on the first week in a shortened, very shortened section, and then have the other classes with the full schedule, so that I could have assignments coming in each week, but at a much lower rate, allowing me to keep up with things better. Again, that's something that I'm just putting out there that I'm thinking about. The Zoom meetings have been very helpful. They've been productive. Requiring them, that's a little bit iffy. I don't see the ability to be able to require them unless we put it in the schedule that we're going to meet at a certain time. And that would be a problem, because then that would affect enrollment. People who have to meet, trying to find that time that would reach for an entire class, as it would be quite difficult. So I'm thinking of actually expanding those to other classes as well, as they're a great way for the students to be able to take care of their discussions without having to sit there and type constantly. Some students would really seem to like this method. So these are just some of the ideas with this. It seems to be working quite well. I'm going to think about how I want to work on this over the summer. The only real concern I've had is how this will work in my shortened classes. How do I put this together in classes that meet for less than a full term? Now, maybe with a 12-week class, you could rearrange things a little bit, but it's not quite as easy as it would be otherwise to combine the various lessons together into a much shorter time frame. Because you still need, in order to do this, you need a minimum of 2 weeks for each lesson. So again, it's something to think about. That's one of my concerns as to how this would work in a different format when we're not using full semester classes. So that concludes this discussion on an experiment in block scheduling for online classes. I'll be back again to discuss another one of my teaching tips and thoughts. So until then, have a great day, everyone. And I will see you next time.